Welcome back to the show, everybody. I've got the coolest guest for you today. We are joined by Caroline Baudino. Welcome
Hi,
to the show.
everybody.
Oh my God,
Oh, hi, my love. Thank you for having me. I am honored to be here.
you are so sweet. I am so excited that you are here. I started following along your journey like literally just a couple months ago.
Oh,
And
thank you.
really, I'm just like enamored by the way that you are showing up. The authenticity that you bring is just magical, and it's like contagious. It's like you can't
Thank
stop.
you.
So,
Thank you, babe. It's the greatest compliment. So thank you.
oh my God,
Thank
thank
you.
you for being here. So I will have read your bio by this point, but give us a little sneak peek into your world and how you got to be doing what it is that you're doing, and share what it is that you're doing in your own words as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. For me, it's funny. My mission is very similar to yours about empowering women. And, I realized in my journey, getting into a point in my life that I hit midlife. And for me, I had children later in life. I was very independent. I wanted to live my life. I wanted to travel. I watched my parents be very unhappy and very codependent. And I remember always feeling like it just didn't feel right to me. Something didn't feel, my mom being powerless never felt right to me. And there was something about that, throughout life as I got married and I had children, and I had children at 38 and 40. So I actually did really wait, and it was great for me because I didn't have any FOMO, and I was, really prepared and ready to be at home and making that sacrifice. Because I think a lot of women, again, rush into something that they don't really understand the commitment of and the sacrifice. And for me, being a little bit older and having traveled and lived, I felt like I was more prepared. And even for someone like me who thought she was so independent and prepared, you find yourself caught in the same cycle. And I found myself caught, in having babies back to back. I was home, I gave up my job. I was, I wasn't sleeping. The weight gain, the hormones. Then I went into perimenopause, and then my parents got sick and my dad got Alzheimer's. And all of a sudden, the weight of the world was on my shoulders. And I can honestly tell you, I walked past the mirror and I didn't even recognize myself. I was like, I used to always be smiling and happy and full of life and adventure and like ready for anything and looking fabulous, I will say. Always have loved taking care of myself. I've always loved, doing my makeup and having a moment to be the best version of myself every day. And I realized I had sacrificed that. And it was too big of a sacrifice for me. And I remember looking in the mirror and thinking, I'm going to bring her back. I'm going to bring Caroline back, that best version of me, the one that's smiling, the one that's positive, the one that sees the good. I'd gotten into this negative headspace. I'd gotten into this more boredom, frustrated, doing things I didn't want to be doing. Like, loved my kids, loved my family, but did I want to be at school volunteering 24/7? Like, was that it for me? And then I was like, okay, my kids graduate. Am I just going to sit at home and stare at the wall and just shop and go to lunch? Like, how long does that last? And I kind of started to understand that I was caught in this vicious cycle, and I knew I needed to break it. And I realized so many of us, that's the truth. So many of us, even the strongest, smartest, most capable, we all fall into this trap because society pushes us into this corner where we have to manage it all. And unfortunately, we can't. And we've gotten into a point where we've normalized not asking for help. We've normalized women, keeping secrets and not wanting, everyone's keeping up with the Joneses and nobody wants to admit that maybe it's not perfect. So all of a sudden we're not talking, we're not helping. Now there's no village. Now people don't even talk to their families. So now you're alone and you're isolated. And I think that's a really scary place to be for a woman, especially in midlife, especially entering menopause, because the truth is you don't recognize yourself. And when you don't recognize yourself, it makes you insecure and it puts you in a bad headspace. And I think that's when you start making really bad decisions, like giving your power away to your husband, to your friend, to your, that's when people start taking advantage of you. And it's a hard cycle to break. So for me, it was my mission. It was my passion to lift every single woman up. I wanted to lift every woman up and stand on their own 2 feet. I wanted to remind women that they were important too. Like, their family's important, their parents are important, but like, you're important too. And your happiness is important too. And you standing on your own 2 feet and knowing that you have options, and knowing that if you needed to leave, you could. And if it wasn't working out for you, or you weren't, you know what I mean? If it wasn't in your best interest, that you have options and choices. And I think many women don't. And I want to remind women how powerful they are. I really do. And that's been my mission ever since. So I started Shop with Caroline. I started having these coffee talks and kind of just sharing my life and my journey. And I think that's where everything really took off, because I realized we were all looking for a village, and we were all looking, to feel good again, to feel happy again. And I think again, we normalized unhappiness, we've normalized misery, we've normalized hating our lives, our husbands, our families. And I just want to bring happy back. I just want to bring normal, happy lives back. That's the truth.
Love it. I
That's
love
the mission.
everything you're saying. What a beautiful mission. What a beautiful, like, you looked in the mirror and you were like, no, like, where did she go? How did the time pass? Like, where was I all this time? And you made this decision in this split second to be like, okay, something's got to change. So, like, what a
Yes.
pivotal moment for you.
Yeah.
Um, but also, like, how cool that you're like, let's claim our happy tools. Let's bring happy back. And it's one thing to say it, but like, how do we, I feel like there's so many women who feel the way you felt when you were looking at your reflection
Absolutely.
in that mirror, and they have the feelings, but they don't have the motivation. They're like, how do I do this? How do I get out of this?
Yes.
How did you do that? And how would you recommend for another woman like that who's going through it right now to
Absolutely.
out?
For me, it really was a little trial and error, a little bit of, reminding myself. I just remember getting started and it was as simple. And I always say this, and I think it's the most important piece: keep it simple and easy. We love to overcomplicate so that we have the excuse to give up. That's the truth. We
Wow.
have to keep it simple. So, like, that's like makeup. When people are like, oh, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, you don't know how to put mascara on? Like, I didn't say do Mario makeup for Kim Kardashian. It's like, I'm saying, just do what works for you. Like we've overcomplicated it and we've made it so extreme that like it's unreachable. And I want to bring like normal back, like just putting on some lipstick and makeup, just because, like your mom said, you're not dead, put your lipstick on.
Mhm.
It's like the simplicity of that. And I said, I started just simply reminding myself of like, what did I used to do? What did I used to love to do that I just stopped? Like because I became a mom or because I became a wife. Like I remember I was like, I stopped really taking care of myself. I was like, I love to work out. That's something that is mentally, just physically so good for me. I was like, I have to make time in the morning. If I have to wake up early, I'm going to have to set my alarm. I have to make the time. I remember talking to my husband being like, movement is medicine to me. I just remember thinking that. So then I remember during COVID sitting outside in the sun. Like I remember when I was really anxious, I would sit in the sun and that sun therapy would be so, and I remember just being grateful, being like, thank God we have a roof over our head. Thank God we had this, and not obsessing on all the things I didn't have. I was like really obsessed with what I did have. So I just remember gratitude. That was medicine. Like movement was medicine. I just remember like me, I was like, I'm going to make time every morning to get up and get dressed. Getting up and getting dressed to me signals my brain that I care about me. Not that anybody else cares, but I care. I'm making the time. It's my self-respect. I personally like to look good. I have never felt good not looking good. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I don't
Same.
know why you wouldn't make the time. So it was that that realization when I walked past the mirror and I looked good, I was like, it's a mind game. Because when you see yourself and you see that reflection looking good, it puts a pep in your step. You're a little more motivated. You're feeling a little bit better. You're more confident. So I started putting all these things together. And then I was like, the positive self-talk. I was like, I know people think it's so ridiculous. Like, I think it's ridiculous that you don't speak positively to yourself. Like, I think it's ridiculous that you don't take the time, that you think it's oh so stupid. It's not stupid. Remind yourself every day that you're capable, that you're strong, that you're beautiful, that you can do hard things, that you're smart. Like, you are smart. You don't need, you don't have to be the trophy. You can win the trophy. You don't have to be the white, married to the CEO. You can be the CEO. And it's really reminding ourselves every day of that. Like for me, it was so important. And then walking out and doing some good. So for me, it was always like, learn something, read something, like go help, volunteer, get that job, work on something that's for your future that makes, an income or some way of knowing that you can take care of yourself. I think is so empowering to women. Like it changes the dynamics. It does. When you feel empowered, it gives you your voice back. You feel like you're in control. When you're dependent on somebody constantly for money or for anything, you lose your voice, you lose your power. That's just the truth. You give in. So for me, it was always like those happy tools. And I can't remember being like, it's my toolbox. It's what I do every day, or it's what I know I can, tap into when I'm not feeling my best. Like what brings me back to the best version of me? I'm always like, she's in there. That best version of you is in there. She's just bogged down by so much responsibility and stress and anxiety and everything that we deal with. So I'm always like, those happy tools are the tools that make you feel good. As
Mm.
simple as a cup of coffee alone for 5 minutes. That could be your happy tool. Something that just brings you back to a positive headspace. And for me, I just want to put it out there because it has been life-changing for my husband and I. We literally decided we're going to choose happy every day. That is something that like we in the morning make that active choice that whatever you're dealing with, try to look at it through the perspective of happiness, to choose that rather than all the negative. So I think those happy tools, like to get started, honestly, do little things that you know personally make you feel good. Not for your husband, not for your kids, not for anyone else, but for you. Like, do you love having your hair done? Just do your hair every day. Doesn't have to be makeup and hair. I always say, start small. Just start with gold hoops.
Yeah.
Then put the cute outfit on, or just put a matching set from Target and put a little mascara on and some lip gloss, like minimal. And then keep adding on. Do one lap around the block. If working out for 30 minutes is crazy, move your body one lap around the block. That's it. Do 1 minute of gratitude. If you don't have 10 minutes, great. Do 1 minute. So it's like, and then as you start doing it, like we all know, the more you do it, it becomes consistent, routine, habit. And then all of a sudden you start feeling so good, you can never go back. So for me, it's like those habits I do every single morning. It's what keeps me moving, and it reminds me every day of what's important to me. So I always say, just start small and start with those minimal habits, like making your bed, cleaning out your closet, those little things that people, it's free and that actually really help.
Beautiful, beautiful. So much wisdom here. And you're being so generous with your knowledge. Now, the really cool thing for those listening who haven't met Caroline yet, she literally walks you through this on her Instagram page. You need to check her out on Instagram. Is it shop dot
With dot Caroline.
Caroline?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so she literally wakes up in the morning in her PJs with you, okay? And like to me, that's so motivational because like if I'm having a day where I don't feel like doing that, I
Yes.
go into Instagram because that's what we're doing anyways. Let's all be honest. Like we're getting on Instagram,
Absolutely.
we're scrolling through the stories, and there
Yep.
she is, and she's in her PJs, and then she's in her underwear, and she's getting dressed with you. She's like putting on, like it's the most amazing thing. So to my audience, you need to check her out. But you show
Thank
us how
you.
to do it. You take us through the steps. And then it's not just about like it's about what we wear, and that's where we start, right? But then you've got your
Yes.
10 minutes of gratitude. And the coolest part that I think about all this, and I was talking about it on my podcast last week because I was introducing you and
Oh, that's amazing. Yes.
on the show, and I was saying, you're selling things on Amazon. You have affiliate links, you're selling jewelry, like all of this beautiful stuff. But ultimately, what you're giving us is inspiration. You're giving us connection and you're giving us community. And I think that's like at the core of every heart-centered business. It's not the end item. Yeah, the end item is awesome. And every time I
Yeah.
open a package from Amazon that, I click through your links and I
Yes. Oh my God. Thank you.
like, of course, I'm always so excited. But what I'm really getting is like, here's a real woman living a real life. She's showing us what motherhood is all about, and marriage is all about, and friendship is all about. And I just think it's so cool and so beautiful. And another thing I really feel from you is, when we're on Instagram, so often it feels like a lot is curated. And with
Yes. Hate
you,
that. Hate
yeah,
it.
we just don't get that vibe. Like you are showing up in such an authentic way. And we've got a community here of like change makers and trailblazers
Yes.
and people who want to start businesses. They want to start businesses around things they love, like what you've done, like what I've done. But they're so afraid. They're like afraid to put themselves out there. We literally had a master class yesterday, and one
Oh,
of our
wow.
GiRLiFE coaches, she was like, I am so scared to show up online. She's like, I have so much to share, but I'm hiding behind posts and quotes
Yep.
and things like that. But what I really want to do is put myself out there, but I just can't do it. So she's got this desire on her heart for impact,
Absolutely.
but then she's got this like opposing, like pullback that is like her.
Because women stop supporting each other. And I think there is this fear of backlash and this fear of being made fun of and, be put down and, what will people think? Rather than assuming that people are going to be proud of us and assume that people are going to be excited for us and happy for us, we assume the worst, which is really sad that that's what I mean. We've normalized not supporting each other and not caring about each other. And I think competition has become so normal, and jealousy. And I just don't really understand it, because women are so powerful when they come together and when we help each other, and there really is room for everyone. And when we show each other that love and respect, that's the truth. Like when we show each other that love and respect, miracles happen. Like so many changes happen. But again, when we keep fighting each other and we keep competing, we're tearing each other apart. And now you're left alone, and you can't do it alone. That's the one thing I'm going to tell you now as a 51-year-old woman: you can't do it alone. You need help. And whether it's your partner, that's why I was having a healthy, happy relationship. Like women are, again, it's like you're giving away all your power. For what? For a Chanel bag? Like, I'm not understanding, because that's the truth at the end of the day. And, it is easy to get chipped away at. It is easy to have that oxygen taken out of you when, you're constantly giving to your kids, constantly giving to your husband, your elderly parent. I care for my parents. It's extremely overwhelming. I don't think anyone talks about it. And it's a time in a woman's life where you feel the weight of the world on you. Especially midlife is brutal. Like when you're entering menopause, there's so many changes. And if you don't have any support and you don't have anybody to talk to, especially your family, especially your friendships, especially other women, then imagine how alone, imagine how scary, and then imagine how insecure you would get.
Mm.
And what does insecurity breed? Unhappiness and you giving away power, right? Because you just let other people take control, and then you stop living. So I'm just all about like getting your power back, understanding that I'm not talking about being the president of Coca-Cola. I'm talking about being the president of your life, like just being in charge of your life and taking that power back, and putting yourself out there is the greatest thing that you could possibly do. And I'm going to put that out there because we are, all of us were scared that first day. And yes, when I took that first picture in the mirror, did I feel ridiculous as a 47-year-old woman, or getting on TikTok? I can't even tell you how hard it was for me to get on TikTok. And then now I had someone scream on the street, "Oh my God, I love you from TikTok." And I'm
Wow.
like, I'm 51 years old. What do you mean you love me on TikTok? Like, that sounds insane. But anything is possible. Anything is possible. There is an audience for everyone.
Yeah.
You are not alone. And I'm telling you, you will find your people. And when you're happy and you're doing something you love, you just don't care. You
Yeah.
don't care as much what anybody else thinks. You care when you're unhappy, because
Yeah.
that's all you're thinking about. But when I'm happy and I'm really doing something I love, I am not worried about what everybody else is doing and thinking. That's the truth.
Yeah, you're in your zone. Like you're in your
Yes.
creative zone of genius. You're doing your thing, you're living your life. I think so many of us are thinking of like that girl in high school who used to like bully us,
Yes.
call us names.
Yes.
Thinking about like
I
cousin
got bullied too.
Gertrude,
Everyone
right?
thinks
Like,
like you, yes, I got bullied too. And trust me, it's like for all of us, it is scary to like put yourself out there. But I'll tell you something. I was terrified to take the filter off.
mm,
Truthfully, I remember we were all using
less
filters.
about that. Yeah.
Literally, I started with the pink cheek filter. I don't know what I was thinking. If you go all the way down, I'm doing all of my talks with pink cheek things. Like I look like a clown. Then I moved into another one. Like I moved into the more just tan one.
Yeah.
And it was amazing that my son said to me, he was like, "But you don't look like that." And I was like, "But I do." I was like, "I just have a tan." And he was like, "But you're not tan right now." And I was
Right.
like, it's something as simple as the tan. And I just remember being like, "Damn it, you're right." And I just remember thinking, I was so scared to take that filter off. I'm not wearing makeup. I'm like coming on in the morning. And the truth is, it is so liberating. It is so freeing. That first day I put the bikini on and I showed all my cellulite, it was the most freeing moment of my life. I have never looked back. Once you show it, once you accept it, once you put it out there, nobody can say anything anymore. You're like, okay, so what? I have cellulite. What are you going to do?
Yeah, like you're
And all of a sudden,
you're
I
owning it.
owned it and
And
I
it's
took
like
my
the
power back.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I took my power. I was like, yes, I have cellulite. What are you going to do about it?
Right.
Okay.
Right. This is
And
what a
you
woman
move on.
looks like,
Yes.
right?
And it's like, so yes, and in the morning, yes, this is what I look like. Like I see people now that literally are talking about what an incredible makeup job they have, and there's a filter on. And she's complimenting the makeup artist. And I'm like, but we can't see her makeup job. And I'm
Right.
like, I don't understand. I'm like, when did we become so uncomfortable in our own skins?
Yeah.
When did we become so insecure? And when did we not, like, when did we stop loving ourselves? Like, I just don't understand how we got here. And we have to bring us back. Like, we have to bring women actually looking in the mirror and liking what they see. It really is that important, because that reflection at the end of the day, that's your superhero. That's your knight in shining armor that's coming to save you. No one else is coming to ring the doorbell and hand you your life. No one's going to make any changes for you. Nobody is coming to save you but you. So what I always say to everybody is, when you look in the mirror, picture your superhero. Like, that's who's coming. So do you want to see a hot mess? Because I would be scared if I knew a hot mess was coming to help me. Like, you'd want to see badass, strong, powerful, ready, looking good. Like, you'd be like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we're good. She's coming. We're good. So I'm always trying to remind you, like, that reflection says everything about how you feel.
What a
So,
beautiful invitation to rise up, right? And be
yep.
that woman in shining armor for yourself, be your own superhero. I mean, I love that so
Yes.
much. That is
Yes.
everything. That's what we all need to hear. And so, like, getting the outside voices and opinions, like you said,
Yeah.
we're like tuned into thinking the worst. Why are we thinking people are going to think the worst of what we're doing, right?
Why?
Why are we
Yes.
allowing that girl from high school to be the person we think about when we want to rise up? Like, we need to think about the people who support us. Like you said, the friendships
Yes.
support us. And you spoke so beautifully this morning about friendship. And you said we need that village, right? So, and you said at 51, you're like attracting your soul family. So, talk to us
100%.
a bit about that, because I think a lot of people feel like, I mean, my daughters are 17, and one of them's
Oh
like,
my
I
God.
haven't found my people, mom. And I'm like, hon, I promise they're coming, and they're going to come in
Yes.
different ages and stages and reasons and all of it. But like, it can happen at any point. So, how did you attract your soul?
Abs. You know, you're so right. I'm so glad you're saying that to your daughter because, sometimes your peak is in high school. You know what I mean? Sometimes you don't find your people yet. You're living where your parents moved to, and it's not necessarily who you are, and it's not necessarily what you want. But just know, again, when you focus on yourself, when you know who you are, when you actually like yourself and you demand that kind of respect and, you set those boundaries, truthful. And I think that comes with age and with experience, unfortunately. And, I wish our younger girls felt this kind of empowerment. And that's why I think it's so important for all of us to be speaking out and teaching our younger girls that you don't need to get married, you don't need to be somebody's trophy, or say, like, you have a voice, you have power, you're smart. And again, when you start feeling your own power, I think you do start attracting that. And I know for me, when I decided, like, I want what's best for me, I want to be surrounded by people who are happy, who are smiling. I don't feel good around all the drama. I don't feel good around the chaos. I don't like the disrespect or the passive aggressive. Like, I'm a girl's girl. You are always welcome at my table. I don't like feeling like you walk in and someone's staring. Like, I have no time for any of that. Like, I would rather be alone than and in bad company any day, personally. Like, you really, I will say my greatest piece of advice: get comfortable in your own skin, get comfortable in your own company. Because when you can be alone and you actually like yourself, I feel like that's when you really start allowing the good to come in because you've set your boundaries. And for me, later in life, you know who you are. Like, for me, start going and doing things that you really enjoy. Like, if you really love, like, a book club, like, join a book club, or like you really love to play tennis, join a tennis club or join a tennis class or something. Like, meet some like-minded people, because I think a lot of the times we're always trying to insert ourselves into these situations of what we think is cool or what we think is popular or what, we think everybody else wants for us. But at the end of the day, I think it's about really humbling yourself and understanding who you really are and what you really like. And what you really like might not be what everybody else likes. And that's okay. But you just need to find your people. And for me, being in a place where I was with all the moms, and it was like big mom groups that, like, I didn't feel great in. Like, it was a lot of gossipy, mean, the kids, the drama. I hated it. And so for me, it was interesting starting to work on myself and then starting the business. I started meeting business women, and I started meeting women that wanted to work on themselves. And I started women that weren't drama and weren't talking, they're too busy running their businesses. They're too busy doing that. Like, we're too busy talking about numbers and spreadsheets and how do we do this? And you realize the conversation is different. The table is different when you start actually knowing yourself and doing the things that you genuinely love. And I say, just get out there, go take those classes, go join the club, go for that walk. I joined the half marathon. I trained for it. And that's how I met my husband. Like, I went out of my way to do something different. And I think that's the thing. If you keep doing the same thing over and over, there's no change. So it is about putting yourself out there, try different things, meet people that like what you like. So you have a connection there.
Yes.
That's for me personally. And
Like,
it's been amazing. The women I've met now, like Monica, Nina, Nat G, everybody that we've, come in contact with, these are my people. Like,
mm,
these are the people that yesterday, Monica teared up, literally tears running down her face, telling me how proud of me she was for what's happened in the last 6 months. And this is somebody I met 2 years ago.
wow.
So
This is where
anything is
it's
possible.
at.
This
Yes.
is where it's at.
This
Yes.
is where
And
it's
we
at.
can. Yes,
We
we can do
can.
it.
We can do it. And I love what you said about, like, first get comfortable in your own skin. First, love yourself. Look in the mirror and
Yes.
be so, like, freaking pleased with what you're seeing. And when you start vibing in a different way, your energy changes. You start attracting the right
Exactly.
people. And you're running
Exactly.
your business, and you've got other fellow female entrepreneurs and women who get what it takes, right? Who are cheering you on and just there
Absolutely.
for it all. No, it's beautiful. It's
Because
beautiful.
it's your mindset. At the end of the day, you hold all the power with one decision, and it's to bet on you. That's it.
That's
That
it.
changes everything. It's the same as you look in the mirror. My husband and I watched this incredible TED talk or something they were saying about when you look in the mirror, again, it's about not being like, oh, I have to do this. It's, you got this. Let's go. It
That's
is that mind change. You have to, in your brain, you're in control and you've got to train yourself.
yeah.
It's your choice.
Yes, yes, yes. So like you get online and you do these pep talks, these coffee talks. You've got these
Yes.
amazing lines that you say, look good, feel good, do good. Let's go. And you're like sending us a kiss, sending us energy. Like we
Yes.
feel that. Like I just want you to know that your
Oh,
audience
that makes me so
feel that.
happy.
And it's
That
just
makes me so
so
happy.
beautiful. It's so motivating because like we all need that, right? We need a Caroline in our ear whispering, you've got
Yes.
this, you've got, cause so if we don't have those friendships, and I always say you can find mentors anywhere. You can find a mentor in a book.
Absolutely.
You can find a mentor on a podcast. You can find a mentor on Instagram. And so you need that
Absolutely.
voice in your ear until you can start speaking to yourself like that, until you can be kind to yourself like
Absolutely.
that and believe it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I
I
love
love what you're doing because it's true. We want to keep teaching our younger generations
it.
that it is possible. We want to change these dynamics of women being indebted to a man. You know what I mean? And not living their lives. Like I look at my mom now at 84, the amount of regret she lives with is so overwhelmingly sad. I can't even express it, to the point where it is my dream is to like not ever let her sacrifice go to waste. She sacrificed her happiness to ensure mine. So I can't waste it. I have to take every opportunity to live my best life and to be that best version of myself because she did not get that chance.
Yeah,
And
tough.
unfortunately, and it's really tough. And I think a lot of us understand that in our generation, our generations before us. It's like the women, there was not enough empowerment out there. There weren't enough of us speaking out and speaking up. And I think it's so important to lift women up, to lift moms up, to lift young girls up and not feel this pressure to get married and have kids, and then what?
Right,
Then
right.
what?
Yeah, let's
And I
develop
just,
ourselves first. Let's
yes.
know
And
ourselves
let's
first.
remind it, and let's remind each other that when the kids leave, there's still another 40 to 50 years.
Oh my God.
So I
By the
think we
way,
kind of
I'm there
forget.
right now. My girls are
Yes.
17. They're graduating in a year. And it's like this whole, I'm 46 years old next week. And it's like this whole like
Happy
life.
birthday.
Thank you, love. Just like feeling like, okay, now what? Like, what are we going to do? And I'm really trying to think of it as it's not like, oh my God, they're going to college.
No.
What am I going to do? But more like, okay, this is the, as you say,
Oh
this is
my God. Now I have
the
a
best
whole
half.
second life.
Right,
Yes.
right. So
Second half is the best half because you have knowledge now. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience.
yes,
So imagine moms are the most efficient multitasker. Like we are so badass. My husband joked that because he's starting his own company, he said he wants to hire just moms because he was like
get shit
smartest
done.
get shit done. I was like, I'm the one who's like, let's go. Like I'm running around like a crate. And he's like, moms are badass. And yet no mom thinks she can work. I have
Wow.
two friends who are two of the smartest people I know that just said to me, like, what would I do? Like, how do you get back in? Like, what would I do? And I'm like, what do you mean would you do? I'm like, go on Etsy, sell this, do this, organize her closet. Like, I'm saying 20 different things. And yet she feels helpless at 47 and with
Wow.
an entire career behind her. Like, and she feels like she's not smart enough. I'm like, when did moms become not smart?
Yeah. We bought into this idea that like there's this one identity. We can only wear one identity at a time, right? You can only be a mom. You can't be a
Yeah.
mom and be an entrepreneur and be like whatever it is. Like, but we can wear so many hats. If anyone can do it, it's a mom, just like you said.
And and like you said too, like you look amazing right now. Again, when was looking good and put together a bad thing?
Right.
Like when is it that people feel uncomfortable? Because I can't even tell you how many DMs I don't even want to hear it from the other moms, or like I don't
Mm.
want, because they'll be like, where are you going? And I'd be like, I'm going to the supermarket and I'm going to look fabulous. Where are you going? I'm like, because to me, I'm like, why would you look like shit? Does that make you feel good? Like I'm kind of like, I'm looking at you like you're crazy. So
Right.
you can think I'm crazy all you want, but I was like, I think you're insane because I don't understand why you would never not take the opportunity to look good. So
Yeah.
again, I'm like, when did we stop putting our jewelry on? When did we stop looking good? Like, because you're a mom, you're supposed to look like shit. I'm not like,
So
what?
thing. I want to like talk about this because I come from a Persian background,
Yep.
and my
So
grandmother,
many of my dear friends, so
right?
many of my
Okay.
dear friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
So literally remember my grandmother like speaking about other women who were enjoying their lives, who, like you said, were getting up and getting dressed in the morning, and like she would, and this was just what she was taught, and it was the narrative that was passed down to her that was
Absolutely.
also being passed down to my mom and to me. But
Yeah.
we're in a place where we get to change this. But she would look at them and say like, oh, like, must be nice to be her. It must be nice to be like, it must be nice to just live your life and be so confident. And it was like, it was such mixed messaging to me, because in my heart, I was like, yeah, well, it is nice. Like, you could do it too. Like, I wanted to say that
Exactly.
as
Yes.
a young girl, right, who hadn't been faded and jaded by these ideals. But I watched my mom walk her own journey because of those narratives that were passed down culturally
Yes.
to her, and then have to like, and we've talked about it a lot with my mom. I'm like, yeah, good for her. You go be her. Like, it's
Yes.
all good. Let's do this. So I think that, the people
What
who,
can I just add into what you just said?
yeah,
That's the
please.
generational vicious cycle, right? Sometimes people think that it's just abuse and it's verbal abuse and like, but there's just as many vicious cycles with women.
Yeah,
Generational cycles of telling us that we're not good enough, that you just have to get married and have kids, or like you can't look good, or that it's funny that you say that, because it's this vicious cycle, and somebody has to break it.
that's it.
Because you're right, it's like people look at her, it's like, oh, look at her, and it's like, yeah, look at her, how
Yeah.
incredible that she's living her life and happy. Like, that's the way it's supposed to be.
Right. Like,
It's
what a
normal to be
reframe.
happy.
What a beautiful
Yes.
reframe. Because my grandma was like, and no judgment. Like, I get where she's
No.
from, but she's like, look at
With
her.
all respect. With
And then,
all
and
respect.
then you're like, look at her. Like, what a reframe, right? Like, so let's all,
Yes.
as women, look at each other. Like, I'm looking at you right now thinking you look so beautiful, and you're showing up with your
Me too.
heart. And I'm just like bursting with excitement watching
Me
another
too.
woman in the world do this, right? And that's what we need more of, right? We need to
Me
bring.
too. I mean, I look at you. The first thing I said was like, look how gorgeous you are. And look at your necklace. Like, but it's true. It's like, why, if you compliment somebody, does that take away from your beauty? Like, I'm not understanding how giving a woman, and it's funny because I remember thinking someone staring at you, and then they came up and they were like, oh my God, I love your hair. Or like, I love something. And I was like, your head's thinking she hates you and she's talking shit. And meanwhile, she was thinking you're gorgeous. And I'm like, why aren't we telling each other this more? You know how good you make somebody feel with that one compliment or that one hello or that one, it's like you could change someone's entire day, and it's free. It's
It's
like, I will never, I would tell everybody I see, I'm always like, oh, I love your outfit, or hey, so nice to see you. Like, it makes me, it's pure joy. I don't
and,
understand.
and it's connection. Like, my husband always laughs at me because it's just what I do. Like, I can't help
Me
it,
too.
because I notice, like, I look at someone and I see their beauty immediately. But like,
Me
he'll
too.
was like, did you melody her? Like, did you tell her you loved her nails? And I'm like, I did, but like, I didn't even notice I was doing that. That's just the natural thing to do. So this
Me
is
too. My husband says the same thing. He's like, were they Caroline? I mean, we were like, I talk to every single person I can get my hands on. I'm the same.
I love
I
it.
just love it because I love connection. I think that's what we've lost, is the connection.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we have to bring this village back.
Yes.
A village of women that it's okay to look fabulous. It's
Yeah.
okay to want to work on something. It's okay to want to have your own life. It doesn't mean you're a bad mom. It doesn't mean you're selfish. It doesn't mean that you don't care. It actually means that you care the most, to me.
You're so
Because again, oxygen mask on first. I
mm,
say it every day because I think we genuinely forget, because when we get crunched with time and stressed and anxious, the first person that gets sacrificed is us. We sacrifice ourselves first. And if you're on an airplane and it's going down, about to crash, you are supposed to put your oxygen mask on first and then save your family. So if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what else does.
yeah.
So oxygen mask on first, ladies.
That's it. So beautiful. So beautiful. Caroline, I could literally talk to you for hours.
I could talk to you for hours too.
I
Damn
love
it.
you. I want to be mindful of your time. I'm going to ask you a couple questions that I love to
You
ask
got
our
it.
guests, because we are all about paying it forward to the next generation here,
Yes.
but also really like looking at the young girl that lives within us and asking ourselves, like, what would we say to her if we had the opportunity? And before
Yes.
I even ask you, like, there is this crazy statistic that a girl's self-confidence peaks at age 8, which, like, with the work that you do and the work that I do, it's like
Wow.
mind blowing, right? So it
Mind
puts
blowing.
our mission into focus and like why we're here. But a message to your 8-year-old self, to all the 8-year-old girls out there who need, you know, someone like you, whispering in their ear and giving them that permission and that empowerment. What would you say?
I wish I could go look at myself in the face, in the eyes at 8 years old and just tell you, don't worry, like you've got this. And there is just something to just tell that 8 year old, like, I would literally be like, you are smart, you are beautiful, you are capable, you are strong, and you can do hard things. And betting on you will be the best bet you ever make. And I would say, do not depend on anyone for your finances, for your happiness. I would say, work and make sure that you can take care of yourself. Do not depend on anyone else to take care of you. I think it's the one thing. My mom was always talking about getting married and having somebody else. It was always about somebody else doing for me. And whatever somebody else was going to make me happy or provide these things for me. And it was something that was ingrained in me. And I could have so easily fallen into these traps. And I just wish somebody had told me to be smart. I wish not to be pretty, but to be smart. I wish somebody had told me, you know what I mean? Like all I was ever told was like, oh, you're so pretty, just look pretty. And it's like, but I'm really smart and I'm really capable and I do know how to do things. And I just, no one ever pushed that narrative. And I wish we would.
Mm,
So I would continuously tell somebody at 8 years old how smart they are.
gorgeous, gorgeous. Oh my God, I love
Truthfully.
soundbite. One of the things that I love to share with our community is instead of asking girls to be good and pretty, ask them to be powerful. Like, let's make a new act
Yes.
of this next
Yes.
generation. Because what does good mean? Good means shut your mouth, don't talk, don't share your voice, you know, look good, but don't speak your mind,
Absolutely.
hide your truth, all of that stuff. So that is gorgeous. And if there was one message that you could share, like a billboard out onto the world, like the thing you want to scream off of the rooftops, if you have the opportunity, what would that be?
Do you know that I think the one message is always, always, always in my head. And I, every single day is, it's like in bold, like what I want everything to say is bring her back, the best version of you. She's in there. She is bogged down by responsibility, by anxiety, by exhaustion, by life, but she wants to, like, she's in there and she wants to come out. And I'd be like, just bet on her. Like there is something about women forgetting who they are. Like you forget who the best version of you is. And I just want to remind women every single day that she's in there and she deserves to come out. So I think my biggest message is always bring her back, the best version of you.
Gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you
Thank you, babe.
for your generosity, for showing up in the world with your truth and giving everyone around you the opportunity to do the same just by following your example. We appreciate you so much.
I
Um,
appreciate you. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for empowering our young girls and our women. And I hope we keep spreading this message. I hope we keep talking. I can't wait to meet you one day and hug you. And, I hope, that's all. I hope we keep lifting women up. I think that is I know that's your greatest passion. It's mine too. And it's an honor to be working alongside you.
oh my God, I love you. Thank you. Thank you
I
for
love you too. I
together.
love you too.
Mwah.